everybody, and welcome back to the People's Game. My God, I promise we're going to get to an episode eventually where it's been less than like 3 months since I said that. But hey, we're back. We're going to make actual regular off-season content and then go into next season. We're actually going to smash it. I know I feel like I've said that a lot. Very sorry for the...
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I believe. Let's look into it optimistically, and then we'll go from there. Anyway, obviously, as always, I am Matty, and alongside me, I've got my fantastic co-host Shane. How are you doing, my friend?
I am good. I am very well. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm glad to be back doing this.
Yes.
If there's one thing I bloody love doing, it's just talking about football. And I know that sounds kind of sad, but I genuinely just I fucking love it. Now, obviously, there's a hell of a lot to talk about since we last spoke. We've got the end of the season, we've got top four, we've got the title race, we've got Champions League, we've got Europa League, we got relegation. There is so much to cover. And to be honest, I don't really know where to start. I tell you what, I feel like, because we haven't done this in a while, I feel like let's catch up with both of us and how our clubs are doing, because obviously in the world of...
Do we have to?
Look, let's get it out of the way early doors. Let's do that, because once it's done, I promise we don't have to talk about it ever again. Okay, let's get it out of the way, because obviously there's a heck of a lot that's going on in both of our clubs right now. So I don't mind if you want to get United out of the way. we can then move on, because
I actually think we should talk Chelsea first, and the reason being is because obviously with the whole Roman Abramovich thing, and now you officially have new owners.
Yes.
So, as the Chelsea man, you can go ahead and...
Yeah, I'm optimistic. I think it's, I'm not gonna lie, it is weird. Obviously for the first time since I have been a football fan, period, if someone asks me who owns Chelsea, I'm not going to be able to say it's Roman Abramovich, which is strange. Him kind of owning the football club is all I've ever known. And obviously watching other clubs go through takeovers and things like that, and it's always seemed something that I guess I just thought I'd never have to worry about, which I suppose is probably like very, very naive of me. It's all gone through. It's all finally happened after obviously weeks, months of waiting for stuff, and I'm happy. I'm feeling optimistic. I think it's a difficult situation for Chelsea in general. I think I'm happy with who it's gone to. I think we've got I'm really happy with it being Todd Bowley. He's a season ticket holder at the club. He's genuinely someone who really likes Chelsea. It's not just some random guy that's just got like a load of money kind of thing. Like he really loves this club, and I am excited in that sense. I think I am obviously a little bit worried because let's not beat around the bush, Chelsea fans. All right, come on, I'm looking at you. We have been accustomed to a certain way of life for the last good few years, and the prospect of obviously that potentially changing, like the whole model of Chelsea could change. So it's of course it's weird. We're entering some uncharted waters for Chelsea fans, but yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling weirdly optimistic, but I'm also fully aware of the quite massive job that we've got on our hands. Obviously, Rudiger, Christensen, both gone. Azpilicueta is seemingly as good as out the door. Alonso's also probably going as well. And if you'd have asked me at the beginning of the season, what's the one area I don't think we need to rebuild? I think defense probably would have been that. But all of a sudden, that's the thing we need to do. So,
and you've got the potential of Lukaku going as well. So
exactly. So there's a big job on. Let's call a spade a spade. We've got a lot to do. And
the rumor of Mason Mount maybe leaving.
that's what I mean. There's a lot going on. I think, I think Mason will stay. I think it's been one of Todd Bowley's priorities to get big contracts to Mason Mount and Reece James, which I agree with. I think they're both so important to us and
Reece James, yes.
Yeah, I will die on this hill. I think if Reece James and Ben Chilwell stay fit all season, I think we challenge for the title. But anyway, that's my own personal propaganda. I'm not going to spend, because I could happily spend 2 hours chanting that like some sort of dictator, but I'm not going to do that because I'm fully aware we've got quite a lot else to talk about. But yeah, like I said, I'm optimistic, but I am fully aware that there's a very big job that needs doing.
My question to you then is this from, obviously, speaking for someone that has American owners, right? Are you not worried about it falling away like Arsenal, like United, and how the owners, like, it seems like American ownership for certain clubs does not go down well.
Yeah.
Down the line, are you worried?
Yeah, I would be lying if I said I thought everything was going to be perfectly fine and I had no worries in the back of my head. I do think it will be okay, but yeah, I get what you mean. I think until like we've seen what this regime is actually going to look like. Yeah, there's always going to be that thought in the back of my head of like, oh God, what if this is just another, what if? Because like I said, we've been accustomed to certain things for the last, God knows how many years, which I guess must have probably been the same when, like, obviously Ferguson was at United. Like, United were just used to winning things and like that being the narrative, right? So yeah, of course, it's definitely there. But I'm gonna try and be optimistic. Let's look at it as being good. But yeah, I think I'd be lying if I said I was fully like everything's gonna be fine. Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Yeah, I'm optimistic. I think we're in a fairly good place as well. Like we've got good players coming back from loan. Like obviously we've got a lot to do defensively, but with Levi Colwill coming back, he's been phenomenal. I mean, albeit in the championships, maybe a Premier League loan would do him good first. Obviously players like Conor Gallagher, because our midfield needs a bit of a rebuild, but if we can get Conor Gallagher in there, that's good. I think the Lukaku situation is obviously bad, but if Armando Broja can get in there, then I think we've got players all over the pitch that are going to kind of lighten the load. But again, I'm not going to pretend that the job we have to do this season to stay like relevant and stay good and stay where we are is not a big one.
Yeah,
I think we've definitely got a big job on for sure.
Do you want to touch on? We will get into the whole Premier League itself, but do you want to touch on Chelsea's end of the season specifically?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a bit dead, wasn't it? To be honest, like we kind of just every game for at least the last 7 or 8 games just felt very pre-season-y. Like, yeah, I think because we were in such a weird position, there was no chance of us challenging the 2 teams above us. And unless we really well and truly bottled it, we weren't really in like that much danger of the teams below us as well. So it
was at one point it was getting
yeah, listen, we got there because we took it almost a bit too casually at points, but I think because that was kind of the way it was, we never really pushed to kind of pull our finger out. So to be honest, the end of the season for me was pretty boring. Like it got to the point where I was tuning into every game and I was like, well, this is going to be another 1-1, or like, it's very like I don't know. I just got very like I was just kind of waiting for the season to be over. Obviously, I was quite excited about the FA Cup. I don't really want to talk about it. But
we will get to it though.
We
eventually.
Will. Fucking Liverpool on penalties. Anyway, so yeah, that we didn't end up winning that. That was a bit disappointing. But I think in general, I think this season has been. I guess you probably would say it's been disappointing, but when we look back at the end of the season and say that we won as many trophies as Liverpool did this season, I think we'd be pretty happy with that. I'll I'll take that as a win, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get into Liverpool in a minute because I'm gonna have the smug on my face, but we'll get to that.
I can feel it already emanating through my screen. I can feel it. But yeah, I think that pretty much sums up how I'm feeling as a Chelsea fan. Now. I know full well before I even end this question that you've not been particularly happy with how things have gone this season. Now, I guess look, as much as I would love to, there's no point us talking about how this season has gone for United. It's been a disappointment, hasn't it? Let's be honest. I guess the only real things I really want to dig into for you is first, how you feeling about I guess kind of similarly to Chelsea, the rebuild that clearly needs to happen, and how good do you feel about Ten Hag doing that? And also, how are you feeling about Ranić not staying on? Because that kind of I knew he took on that other job, but he was still no, I'm staying. But yeah, the floor is yours, my man. How are you feeling?
First of all, thank you so much for watching. This is the end of the People's Game episode. No, but in all seriousness, we finished behind Arsenal. That's so bad. But we'll get to Arsenal in a minute. But something after Atletico Madrid, our season was over. Right, that was clear to see. And then the stories that were coming out, especially with the Lingard, Scholes spoke to Lingard, and then how toxic the dressing room was. This, that, and the other players apparently clicks, and which you would do in clubs, but for it to publicly come out, it's just not good. And then look, and I don't want to be disrespectful to teams like Brighton, stuff like that. But for us to be losing 4-0 to Brighton, something is wrong.
That felt like a dark day. Not even a fan of them.
Something is wrong, and full credit to Brighton, they deserve to win 4-0, maybe even more. Right, full credit to them. I'm not discrediting them, but as a team of Man United stature, you shouldn't be losing to teams like Brighton. Yes, you can have off days, but it wasn't even off days for us anymore. It was just that is how you would go into a weekend and you see, and you'd be like, oh, Man United playing this. Oh, we're not even sure they'll beat them. We went into Norwich and nearly didn't even beat Norwich. And you know how Norwich are close to my heart.
Yeah.
Right. But Norwich are unfortunately really awful.
Yeah.
And we nearly didn't even beat them. If it wasn't for Ronaldo's hat trick, and then look, and I've said in videos in the past that Ronaldo I thought was the problem. It clearly wasn't the problem, because without him, we'd be freaking fighting relegation.
Yeah, I think that's almost the scary thing, isn't it?
That's the scary thing. And so to answer your first question about, I think it was Ten Hag, right?
Yeah.
Right. So Ten Hag, look, I'm optimistic. I can't comment. I've not seen any of Ajax to comment on his style of football, right? I know he was probably everyone's first choice, nearly everyone's first choice. I think the majority was 85% Ten Hag, and then the 15 was Pochettino. So I'm excited to see what he brings. Obviously, he's already trying to stamp his authority in the transfer window already. with obviously with De Jong, but De Jong doesn't want to leave Barcelona and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So it's going to be interesting. Obviously, a lot of people have left the club,
Yeah.
right? Which is a good sign. Obviously, we announced as of the day we're recording this, Pogba is officially gone, Lingard is officially gone. So that's two people on two of the higher wages gone
Sure.
at the club. Obviously Woodward's gone, officially, and we just signed. I think his name's Andrew Doyle, who's gone up as well. So changes are happening,
Yeah.
right? Which looking good, but it's also can't comment until we see what happens on the pitch.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is the main thing. I'm not expecting us to go guns blazes and like challenge for the title straight away. No, I think us United fans need to keep our feet on the ground, and our first goal was to get back into top four.
Yeah.
That's our main goal. And if we can maybe snag a trophy, like maybe an FA Cup, League Cup, possibly the Europa League, I would see it as a success.
Mm-hmm.
With regards to Rangnick, though, I'm not surprised.
Okay.
I kind of had a feeling this was going to happen, and realistically, I think he's gone because he was too honest
Mm-hmm.
in regards to his press conferences and stuff, because he didn't sugarcoat it,
No.
right? Right, he never did sugarcoat it, and I think as someone who likes blunt and honesty, right? As much as how good that is, you've also been the manager of the club and the managing a group of players. You need to be tactful in what you're saying,
Yeah.
right? Because obviously what he was saying for me affected a lot of the players,
Mm-hmm.
right? He clearly didn't trust Rashford, which I think affected his form. Like, and by the way, I am one of those people that wants to keep Rashford because I see a player in there still. I don't know like what happened this season. I'm hoping Ten Hag can, you know, put put some belief back in him, but it just wasn't right. You could just tell like no none of the players wanted to play for him really,
Mm-hmm.
and if it wasn't for just individual brilliance from Ronaldo, again, I don't know where it would be. I think him taking the Austria job was the nail in the coffin because I think he knew he wasn't gonna stay.
Yeah. See, I thought that when he, when it all kind of came out that he'd taken that job, and then there was the
Mm,
whole, he's like, no, I'm definitely going to stay on. And I thought at the time, I was like,
mm.
interesting.
The,
Yeah.
the,
I
the only
thought,
the only good thing I'm going to be thankful for Ragnar Fogg is he because of the public things he knows the problems and he's publicly said it, right? He didn't hide from for us fans. He's basically pointed out to the public that this is what's wrong. He
yeah.
didn't hide it. Okay, the owners probably didn't like it, the players didn't like it, but quite frankly, it needed to be said,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we have all the problems he said is what we have. So I'm sad in a sense to see him go because I think him being in the consultancy role probably would have done us some good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I also don't think Ten Hag wanted to work with him.
No,
I
I
think
kind of
Ten,
get that
I
feeling too.
think Ten, I
Yeah.
think Ten Hag, when he was having his discussions to become a United manager, I think the news that was going around that Ten Hag wanted full control over
Yeah.
what transfers were done, this, that, and the other. And I understand him and Magnic had like a 2-hour conversation with regards to the squad. But like, I just have a feeling that Ten Hag's just like, no, I'm in charge. This is what I want. We're going to do things my way if I come here. So, you know, as a United fan, it's been painful. After a while, I just stopped watching. I just
Yeah.
couldn't. I couldn't do it, and I tweeted it out a few times. Like I just couldn't do it. Um, I just as much as I love to watch my football team, the last half of the season was just too unbearable. You like knowing full well you'd go into the game and expecting us to lose.
Yeah.
It's not a good feeling. So I'm hopeful, but I actually think with I'm gonna with it, if we get Dion,
Okay.
right? If we get him, I that's a very good sign for me, right? I know De Jong doesn't want to leave, but if Ten Hag convinces De Jong to join, right? I was just like, okay, the board are doing something. Okay, Ten Hag has a bit of pulling power.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a good sign. I personally don't think we'll get him. Personally, I don't think we will.
Mhm.
I think we won't pay what Barcelona wants, and even if they accept, I don't think he wants. I don't think he want to come.
No, I don't think he would go to United right now, just because
Mm-hmm.
I think at the moment I think there's like obviously, De Jong is a fantastic player. He is unreal. But I
Mm.
think next season for United has almost got to be kind of a like consolidation. Like it's the start of a rebuild. Like it just
Mm.
needs to not get any worse and start to look a bit more kind of solid. And like you said, I think the first priority for them almost needs to be kind of getting back into top four. And I think
Yeah,
once that's done, I think then you can go for the more sort of the bigger, like the sort of luxurious players like a De Jong. So I think De Jong at United would be sensational, but I think you've got to, like sort of start to rebuild the sort of blocks around him first before getting
yeah.
him
I
in.
mean, potentially, if we get De Jong, our midfield could possibly be Donny Van de Beek, Frankie De Jong for next season.
I
You
mean,
know,
that's a solid pairing in
and
midfield.
like consider like which will be interesting because obviously for me Van der Beek even at Everton was not great,
Mhm.
but maybe under Ten Hag because he played great might be it's but we'll see. But like I even just the last thing I look at our last like 5 games that Man United play lost draw win loss
Yeah.
like what can I say?
No, but I get it though, because I mean, like like I said towards the end of last season, when Chelsea were just kind of far arsing their way to a like a third place finish, I was getting really angry just watching games because I guess like similarly, I was going into it and just thinking like, right, this is going to be a game where we're leading 1-0 and then we'll stupidly throw it away, and then I was getting so frustrated at that, so I can only imagine like how you must have been feeling at the end of
It
last
was
season.
such a travesty. Like when Middlesbrough scored that goal against Man United in the FA Cup. From there, it went down.
Just
I
yeah,
haven't got
season
over
over.
that. I haven't got over that handball.
Oh, I know. It's
All
it's been a
right,
crazy
but
season, hasn't it?
anyway, moving on. Let's actually talk Premier League.
Yeah, let's
Um,
let's move on from us being sad.
let's talk. So we'll go relegation first.
Okay.
So obviously the 3 relegated teams were Norwich, who finished bottom, sadly. Watford and Burnley.
So that
Bloody Burnley.
that third relegation spot, my God, I I don't think I've ever been so stressed trying to predict who the third team going down was, right? Because let's be honest, Norwich, again, we both quite like Norwich. You for actual valid reasons. I just
Mm-hmm.
played as them on FIFA one time. I was sad they went down, but the writing was on the wall for a while.
Yes.
Watford were doomed ever since they came up. Then you've got that third spot. I was so sure it would be either Everton or Burnley. And then all of a sudden, with what, like 3 games to go, Leeds were like right down there. And I was like, oh my God.
And don't forget, for a long time of the season, Newcastle were down there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's obviously a massive talking point this season. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was so sure that Leeds were dead and buried on
I
the
thought
final
Leeds were
day.
going. I thought Leeds were going down.
And I think the
That
thing
would have
was
been my
was
prediction.
was
Leeds.
they had so many injuries Obviously, Luke Ayling and Dan James had both been sent off in prior games, so weren't available.
Rightfully so for their stupidity.
Yeah, 100%. But I just thought, like, that's it then. Surely there's no way. Like, I wasn't thinking that Burnley were going to win. I was like, there's no way. Like, Leeds can't do this. And somehow Jesse Marsh has managed to keep them up. I have no idea how, but he's done it.
I don't think it's down to Leeds. I think it's more so Burnley.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
I think you look at it now, and obviously it's easy to say this now, but getting rid of Sean Dyche for me was the wrong move.
100%.
And look, would the Sean Dyche kept him up? You never know. However, he has done it in the past. Like, yeah, okay, you Burnley had that new manager syndrome that seems to happen every time a manager comes in.
Yeah.
But like, I just couldn't see. I just couldn't see Leeds staying up. It's just because defensively they're awful, and I understand that. I understand that the injuries. I completely get that, and I know like someone was saying that if Patrick Bamford was fully fit for the season, they wouldn't have been anywhere close. I kind of disagree. I still think they would have leaked goals. Patrick Bamford, okay, he's a good striker, but for me, he wouldn't have scored enough. Like his goals wouldn't have taken over the amount they concede.
Yeah.
So it's really hard. And then Everton, look, Everton were just the squad was too good to they weren't gonna go down for me. They had the players there. It's just eventually they finally got a kick up the arse, and then and I will say I actually don't think it was due to Frank Lampard. I just think it's just fact of the players.
Okay.
I personally I don't rate Frank Lampard as a manager personally.
No, fair.
But fair play. Like I didn't want to see Everton go down. They're too big of a club to go down.
Yeah.
Same. I'd rather Leeds go down as a United fan, but in terms of like football heritage, you'd rather see Leeds.
Yeah, that's understandable.
I'm sad to see Burnley go. I like Burnley. They've been a breath of fresh air since they've been in the Premier League. You might not like their style of football, but like it's like when Stoke were in the Premier League, right? You didn't want you didn't want to go to Stoke. It's the same. You didn't want to go to Burnley because you were in for a rough game.
Yeah.
So I'm sad, but that final day of the season. Ooh, wait.
I know. I've never. I didn't even have a dog in the fight. Like it did not matter what Chelsea did, but I've never been that stressed on a final day of the season. There was so much going on. Like it was genuinely, it was mental.
I mean, Brentford kind of helped out Leeds for going to 9 men.
Yeah, listen, that wasn't ideal. If you're a Brentford supporter, that wasn't ideally what you wanted to see. Happen. But yeah, I agree though. I'm gonna miss like Burnley. Like I know people can criticize the way they play football or whatever, but I think hats just have to go off to Sean Dyche. I think the fact that he kept them in the Premier League for so long, given like the amount of investment they had and the squad that they had, and sometimes you'd look at that team and be like, that's not a Premier League team, and yet he guided them to European football. That's ridiculous.
Like, oh, exactly. And unfortunately, the thing is, like with the role reversal for Leeds, right? Leeds' problem was defensively. Burnley's problem was offensively. They just couldn't score goals.
They couldn't buy a goal.
No? They couldn't score goals, which is unfortunately Burnley. If Burnley learned how to score goals, right? I honestly think they'd be a top half team, like 10th, 11th every season personally, because defensively they're solid.
Yeah.
Defensively they're solid. They just lack any form of attack. unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that was the kind of problem this season. Is like they lost a bit of that like defensive edge. They started being a little bit more leaky, but nothing really changed up top. Like hence why it just kind of all of a sudden was like, oh my god, like yeah, if this team isn't keeping clean sheets and giving teams a rough time, then like yeah, this oh god, they've kind of lost everything. I mean, Maxwell Cornet started the season on fire, but he can't do it all by himself. Like there's only so much that one man is going to be able to do. So yeah, I'm going to be sad to see them go. And to be honest, I'm a little bit worried about them now. Like I know they've got a lot of players that are like out of contract, and I know supposedly the club's kind of like financial situation isn't looking great, and obviously without the Premier League money now, like
and the championship is not easy.
No, exactly. So this is potentially worrying times.
If I had to put my money on it now, I can't see Burnley coming straight back up.
I don't think they'll come straight back up.
I can't realistically, and look, I know they finished bottom, but Norwich consistently go back and forth. Out of any of the relegated teams, Norwich would be the one I'd be like, okay, calm out. And there is some bias in there, but they generally are too good for the championship because they always seem to be too good for the championship. And then, I don't know. Burnley need, I don't know. I mean, if I put my money on now, I actually don't think any of the relegated teams will come up straight away.
I don't know. I would say that, but like you said, Norwich do seem to have this uncanny habit of bottom of the Premier League, and then they win the championship by like 30 points, and then bottom of the Premier League, and then so I don't know. But do you know the weird thing is actually, I heard someone else saying this ages ago. I'm not going to pretend it's like an original point, but when do you reckon the last time that Fulham and Norwich actually played each other was? Because all they do is take it in turns to get promoted and then relegated again.
Maybe it was a cup game, I don't know.
That's what I mean. When was the last time that Fulham and Norwich played a league game against each other? Because I feel they always miss each other. They're never in the same division at the same time.
I don't know, because like obviously transfers and stuff need to happen, and we need to see like what happens in the transfer window. But at the minute, I actually can see Fulham staying up already.
I think so. They were a great team last season. I think the thing that's always going to hang over Fulham is, and not necessarily just Fulham, it's can Mitrovic do it in the Premier League? I really like him as a player, and obviously his numbers in the championship this season have been absolutely disgusting.
Insane.
Like, if people thought Ivan Toney's numbers were good 2 years ago, check Mitrovic's numbers from last season. They are filthy. Like, it's not even funny. It's outrageous.
Oh, speaking of which, so because you just mentioned it, can I just quickly mention Brentford?
Yes,
because fair play. Like, yeah, fair play. I thought they were gonna go down like straight away, right? Fair freaking play to Brentford. Like, solid team. I am gonna say it now. I don't think you're keeping Christian Eriksen. I actually can't see it.
No.
But you know what? Fair freaking play to Brentford. You know what? Fair play. Out of all the relegated teams, you were consistent. Not really any fear of relegation, maybe for a couple of weeks, but you know what? Fair freaking play. So, but yeah, going back to as you were saying about Fulham,
I don't know. I want so much to believe in them and be like, yes, this season they're going to do it. But again, it's just like there's that feeling of like, yeah, but it's Fulham.
Like, they've got more of a shot than the other two, but we'll get into the promoted teams later.
Yeah.
But one team we do need to mention, because we were talking about relegation, is Newcastle, because they are going to be very, very interesting going forward now. First of all, big round of applause to Eddie Howe. Absolutely phenomenal job he did there. And to me, just goes to show you why the frick did no team pick him up when he was out of work for so long?
Yeah, I mean, he was rumored to go to like so many teams. Well, I
Arsenal,
feel like whenever there was a
Arsenal were one of them.
exactly, and I feel like whenever there was a managerial opening, like literally anywhere, it was like, oh, Eddie Howe's still, kicking about looking for a job. And yeah, I think this just kind of goes to show how good of a manager he is. Like, because
Mhm.
I get it. Yes, they obviously spent a lot of money in January.
Yes.
I get it. And some
But
players they
even
brought
before
in,
then, they were doing okay.
yeah, he changed them big time. And I think even if you look at the players they brought in, like, yeah, they brought in some big quality names, like, Bruno Guimaraes is looking like an absolute
Mhm.
world beater. But,
Here in
you know,
trivia.
yeah, exactly. But then you look at like the other players he brought in, and like Dan Burn has been phenomenal. Like Chris Wood has done a job for them. What he's done to Joel Linton,
Jollins is a completely different player.
he's incredible. He's like been probably one of the best midfielders in the league this season, which is nuts when they bought him as a striker who couldn't hit a barn door. Like it, I mean, yeah, mega praise for Eddie Howe. What a
You
job
know,
he's done.
and obviously, what do you think Newcastle's aim is next season? Now
Ah,
that
see, I
now that they have that money,
I was hoping to spring this question on you before you got the chance to do it for me, but here we are. See, no, I don't know.
I
I
think top
almost,
eight or Europa League.
yeah,
I can't look. I can't see it being top four,
no,
right? However, look, if you obviously financial fair play is going to play a huge part in what Newcastle do,
yeah,
right? But can, if Newcastle spend their money wisely and they don't lose players like Saint Maximin and
hmm
stuff like that, I think top eight is where they would aim. They just missed out on top 10 by like what 2 points,
which is
but
crazy.
like if I'm Newcastle, top eight Europa League spot is where I would be aiming for.
Yeah, I think that should be like the aim. But I kind of feel like given where they were at the start of the season just gone, I feel like if they finish like, let's say they crack into the top 10 and have maybe like a really good cup run or something, I also
Mm,
feel like that would be like perfectly fine. Like, let's be honest. I think this Newcastle project, they're not going to run out of money anytime soon.
no.
They're not in a particular like rush, I guess. I don't think they need for it to be successful right now.
Mhm.
And I think, they shouldn't go down the route of just buying big name players for the sake of it and putting them on like stupid wages and then kind of completely ruining like the foundations they've started building. Like, Newcastle have started building a good team here. And I think if they continue to build it the right way, which I think they will, by
Mm,
all accounts, they've started really well. I think they should just keep on that trajectory. Like, I don't think they should worry about being mega successful like right away. They're building a good squad. They've got the resources. It'll come.
I think everyone can probably just agree then. If it's anything below top 10, it's disappointment.
Yeah, I'd say that. I'd say that, especially with the team they've now got, and that they're only going to add to it. This squad is not
Oh
going to
yeah.
get. This squad's not going to get worse.
I
So
mean, the thing is, right? You look at it because we'll go into top four next, right? But you look at it now. The amount of teams that are challenging for top four now is actually insane.
mhm,
Um. So, but let's go into top four.
let's do it.
So obviously it was between for a long time Spurs, Arsenal, Man United, and West Ham.
hmm
Um. West Ham kind of fell off. To be fair, Europa League kind of probably played a huge part in that.
Yeah.
Man United just then fell off themselves after
Yeah.
but again, I'm not going into that.
No, that's
It just hurts. And then we got the two London rivals, and let's be brutally honest with ourselves, and it's because it's going to make me smile off the bottom of it.
that they did. Yeah. I mean, I think this brings up a bit of an interesting conversation
Okay.
because for, with what was it like? Was it 3 games to go? And it was literally in Arsenal's hands. They
Yes.
had North London derby against Spurs, and then they had what? Newcastle and someone on the final day. And
Didn't they lose the game before Spurs? I swear they did.
they might have done actually.
Arsenal, FC. I'm pretty sure they.
Yeah, they
No,
very
no,
may
no,
well
no,
have
no,
done.
no, 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 no. They didn't. They didn't. That's my bad.
Oh no, because yeah, they were in really good form going into that North London
Yeah,
derby,
they
weren't
were
they?
because
Yeah, they
they
beat us.
they lost to Southampton. They lost to so basically what happened? They went on 3 games where they lost to Crystal Palace 3-0,
Yeah,
Brighton 2-1, Southampton 1-0.
then they
Then
smashed us.
then they beat you
Yeah,
4-2, beat United 3-1. Then they beat West Ham, so good run.
yeah,
Then they beat Leeds, going into that North London derby. Right,
yeah.
fair
So,
enough. It's at
so
Spurs, but it doesn't matter.
all they had to do was not fuck it up.
Yeah, not
That
lose.
that was all they had to do. And then Rob Holding gets sent off.
Yep.
It all goes wrong from there. Fine.
Yes.
They even had the luxury of being able to lose the North London derby and still be ahead.
Yeah.
So fine, that's not ideal. Just see out the last 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
And then Newcastle beat them 2-0. And all of a sudden it's like, oh my God.
It's
Like
out of their hands.
it's happening. Yeah. And I think if we're talking about managerial one-on-ones, I think Mikel Arteta versus Antonio Conte is about as imbalanced as it could potentially be.
Oh yeah. It's like a Premier League team playing a League Two team in the FA Cup.
Yeah, but do we have to ask questions about Arteta here? Because I think the job he did at Arsenal was great. After the first 3 games of the season, me and you spent a considerable amount of time laughing at them being bottom of the table. Because I won't lie, that was funny. But for them to put in all that hard yardage, then fall when it matters most, that feels significant. And I think, like you said, with competition being as hot as it is for those top 4 places, and for this season, them not having to worry about European football or anything, this felt like they almost needed to get into the top 4. And I think them finishing 5th that's tough.
Okay. So obviously from the outside, right, you gotta look at it for me in this way. Is it progress? Yes.
Yeah.
Right? They finished in Europe, right? But, and this is the big but, right? As you've just mentioned, they've played the whole season having to worry about one game.
Yeah.
One game. Okay, Spurs, okay, had the Conference League for a while, but okay. But January for me was the big turning point because they didn't sign anyone and you let Aubameyang go.
Yes.
Right? I'm sure Arteta probably wanted someone, but they probably said that. So that's probably on the owners, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're in that position where you've got control of your own destiny.
Yeah.
You're not playing many games. You can call it progress, but at the same time, I think you call the season a failure. And the only reason being is because you've bottled I've watched a lot of Arsenal fan TV, especially when they lose, because who doesn't?
Yeah.
Right? But a lot of the fans are making sense where they said next year is going to be even tougher for them because one, they're going to have European football again. Two, there's going to be more teams challenging for that fourth spot.
Yeah.
You know, the Premier League does not get freaking any easier, right? And if the rumors are true, where apparently they want their strike force to be Eddie Nketiah and Gabriel Jesus, if they get him,
Mm-hmm.
to me that's not good enough. For me, that's not a good enough strike force, right? Yes, okay, Odegaard, played well. Okay, yes, Ramsdale's a good goalkeeper, but like your midfield is like lacking, and also, and the big thing is you've lost it to your biggest rivals for goodness sake.
Yeah.
You know, you lost it to your biggest rivals. I personally think Arteta should go, and I think Arteta should have been sacked a while ago. Um, I don't. I think he's taken them as much as they can,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know who they get as a manager now. Really, um, it's hard for Arsenal because you know they are one of the biggest clubs in England
Yeah. Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
world. So it's an interesting thing. But okay, yeah, okay. Look, I can't say much because they finished ahead of us. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but that's another thing, right? Man United were completely awful. But yeah, we both finished in Europa League, and I can't see United being as awful as that again.
Mm.
I mean, that's maybe just optimism on my part, but I can't see it. So I don't know if Arsenal is going to be an interesting one. It's all how summer turns out. And Arteta's just signed a new contract, so he's not going to be going anywhere. So
Yeah. I think it's weird because I feel like a lot of it comes down to like perspective and stuff, I guess, right? Because if you'd have offered Arsenal fans fifth place
if
finish from like where they started at the start of the season,
the
they'd have
Yandov,
absolutely bitten your hand off. Yeah, exactly. But if you then fast forward to like 3 games to go, and then you said to them, "You're going to finish fifth. Spurs will finish fourth." Fuming, like it's
I
perspective's important.
I look at it this way, right? The perfect example of why also I think Arsenal fans are pissed. You look at that Newcastle game. What team was playing for top four?
Hmm.
Newcastle looked like the team that wanted it, that
Yeah,
they were fighting for something, and Arsenal didn't look like anything. And I'm saying this right now. If Everton was still in that relegation fight, right? That last game of the season, right? If you play out, right, that last game of the season would have been completely different.
oh, big time, big
Like
time.
completely different. So I don't know. Let's do speak about Spurs because they did get fourth.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Um, fair bloody play.
Hmm.
Um, it's interesting to see what's going to happen with them going forward. I won't say because it got announced today. The fact that Son is not in PFA Player of the Year is absolute joke.
That is outrageous. Yeah.
Like he joint Golden Boot winner, right, with Salah. Like how he's not in that is a joke. But like Conte has absolutely transformed that team. And I think this is why Levy's already doing business in the window because obviously they've just signed Perisic.
Hmm.
Good signing. Obviously, they will probably keep Kane. They're definitely going to keep Son. They're probably going to sign Kulusevski to a permanent deal. I think it's official yet, but I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
I think Romero's going to probably sign permanently now. You don't know what else they're going to do. And if Conte gives them money, I think they could go top three.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that was going to be my question because something that I'm seeing bounce around a lot is, you know, will Tottenham finish above Chelsea next season? Because I think for this season, Chelsea have been in that weird position where we've been very comfortably third. I think with the situation, we've not been on the level of Liverpool and City, and I
Mm-hmm.
would be an idiot to sit here and try and pretend that we have been. But we have been so much better than the teams below us. So we've kind of been in that weird league of our own type kind
Yeah.
of sitting space. But obviously, with Tottenham being hugely on the up right now, and as aforementioned ages ago, we've now got a lot of a job to do with the Chelsea team. So yeah, what do you think? Do you think Tottenham crack into that top three? Because I've been struggling with this, and I feel like even when I've been very logically thinking, yeah, maybe they could. I feel like that there's just been that
I'll
voice in the
give
back of
you a
my head.
bold take.
Oh, 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 oh.
I think
Calm down, Kane.
I think Tottenham go further than Chelsea in the Champions League next year.
Wow.
I think it's because I just have a lot of faith in Conte.
Okay.
And I think with Spurs, I actually genuinely think if they could buy a look, Dyer's done well at centre back, don't get me wrong, right? But if they can solidify the defense and maybe buy one or two midfielders, that front three is fucking scary.
Yeah, I think I think that's the thing is like I think there's only small adjustments that need to be made to this team. Like I think if they maybe upgrade their fullbacks a little bit as well. I think Emerson Royale has been
Bad.
a bit iffy this season. Yeah, I think obviously Doherty kind of really turned it on at the end of the season, but obviously for the rest of the season he was a bit like non-existent. So I think if they kind of upgrade their fullbacks, like especially for how Antonio Conte plays football, and yeah, like you said, their attacking options would rival most people's. So I mean,
but
I
this
think
is the
there's a
thing,
very
right?
healthy argument for it.
This is the thing. The only reason I'm saying Spurs might go further in the Champions League now is because I think Conte in Europe would do a good job. And I don't know what's going to happen with Chelsea. So this is only speaking on now. Obviously, summer, if Chelsea, okay, if this new owner's like, okay, let's sort out all these problems, and Chelsea for me will go absolutely further. But right now, I genuinely think Spurs are a better team.
Yeah,
I believe so.
Yeah. No,
So
but I get that. I don't. I think the thing is with Spurs, I think right now there's an element of like a certainty, I guess, right? Like it kind of feels like with someone like Conte in charge and with them having secured top four, I don't think Harry Kane is going anywhere. I think they're going to keep that team, and they've got Antonio Conte, who's fantastic. Whereas you look at Chelsea, and I'm pretty sure I think we're going to keep Tuchel, which is great, but there's so many question marks around our team right now, which is the
hypothetically
thing.
then, right? I'll give you a hypothetical.
Okay.
Say Conte started at the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Do they finish above Chelsea?
Oh,
They don't go anywhere close to top two, but for me, they finish top four, but do they finish third?
I'm gonna say no, but I think there's definitely an argument for it. Like I think we would still be there just because of how comfortably third we were. Again, the table doesn't really show that, but that's because we drew like 8 of our last 9 games. But I think we'd have been okay. But like it's kind of one of those things that at the same time I don't think I could really argue against it. Like if someone said I think they would, like fair. I don't, it is what it is. Yeah, God, that feels like ages ago that Nuno was in charge of Spurs.
The thing is, right? Spurs' biggest problem next season is going to be the biggest problem they always had: the fact they're Spurs.
See, this is my thinking, right? Is like I said, even when I'm of all the rational things of like, yeah, Spurs are in a really good place right now. Is the problem? Can Conteism outdo Spursism? Because Spursism is a big deal. Like you know, when Tottenham and Arsenal were kind of fighting for that fourth spot, I thought something crazy was going to happen and like West Ham would nick it at the end, just because I thought, you know, neither of them wanted it. It seemed like for a while, but yeah, I don't know. Is because I mean, Conte is good enough to outdo Spursism. It's just whether Spurs cannot do a Spurs.
The thing that scares me is I think that Spursy thing goes out the window if Conte gets them a trophy.
Oh, 100%. I think it could be the most, you know, it could be anything at this point, you know, even, you know, let's say even if it's like a Carabao Cup, not that that's not a big deal. Like, of
A
course
trophy
it
is
is,
a trophy.
exactly. I think that's all they need is something to break that thing, right? You know, even if it's because it's like, you know, they didn't make it through the Europa Conference League. Obviously, the way they went out was a bit shady, and you know,
Yeah.
that's is what it is. But
Probably
you know,
did
I
them
think,
well the good in the end, really.
yeah, to be fair, it's less for them to focus on, isn't it? But I think, you know, even if they'd have gone on to win that, like, you know, people can kind of jeer and stuff and be like, oh, it's only the Conference League. It's like, yeah, but that's not the point. It's a trophy, and winning breeds winning. Like, you know, once you're in the habit of it, you're there, and I think that's all they need. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see the next year.
Yeah.
Should we move on to the top two then, and
Yes.
have a chat about them? Because I mean, I know you're obviously dying to talk about Liverpool here, and I get that. Obviously, for those of you that have been living under a rock, they obviously didn't win the Premier League title because of a ridiculously dramatic comeback from City over Aston Villa. I mean, what, they were 2-0 down and scored 3 goals in like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
or
3 goals in 5 minutes
to win the I mean, that's almost on like the Aguero levels of like biblical. That was pretty wild.
mean, look, as going into that day as a United fan,
That must have been tough.
look, I don't want either team winning the league, right? But purely because of the whole quadruple, I did not want Liverpool anywhere near that title.
Yeah.
Right. And realistically, let's be real, Liverpool are Man United's bigger rivals, not City.
Yeah.
City for me, and like, I'm probably gonna get flamed, are still irrelevant. Like, but just because like I will stand without them that money. Look. Right, but that's beside the point. Going into that final day. Okay, first of all, I want to touch on the fact that Wolves went 1-0 up.
Yeah.
Deservedly so, by the way.
Yeah, Liverpool were asleep at the wheel.
Deservedly so. And then Villa go and score. Right? And I was saying before anything happened, I was just like, the fact that Gerrard was in charge of Villa scared the fucking shit out of me.
It felt like it was written, didn't it? Like, it just felt like, I was like, oh my God,
And they
like, it's
then
gonna
they
happen.
went 2-0 up, and I was just like, are you freaking kidding me? I was saying to myself, I swear to freaking God, Wolves, you need to hold on here. I can't see City coming back. Right? I was praying, and then I hear Wolves miss an open goal, and then I was just like, oh, Wolves, don't do this to me. And then I think Liverpool did. I think Liverpool didn't equalize before Man City scored their first?
No, so as cool as the final day was in terms of the like title fight, the title never actually like changed hands in terms of like the table. So it wasn't like as exciting as it could have been. Just because of the sheer turnaround from Man City meant that Liverpool never actually went ahead. But yeah.
Because I said to myself, I was just like, the Salah's going to score. I knew he was going to score. I was just like, as soon as I was just like, the Salah's going to score. And then I was just like, okay, look, City, you need to score. Right, so then they scored. So I was like, okay. Minute or so later, they scored again. And like, okay, that's good. Then they scored again. And I'm like, huh? Like, what the frick happened? Like, it's not as dramatic as the Aguero one, like, because that was like last minute.
Yeah.
Um, but like, fair play, like that. What a title race, realistically. Like,
Yeah.
what a title race. I mean, like
See,
the fact that City won the league without a striker is scares me, man.
oh, what? Because they're for Erling Haaland. Yeah. See, okay, look, I have my own take on that, which I wanna. I'll I'll get to that in a minute. But I look. This is again. This is probably one of those things that's going to get me absolutely roasted.
Okay.
Do we have to look at this season as a maybe not a failure? That seems very strong, but by City's and Pep's standards, has this been a good season? No Carabao Cup, no FA Cup, knocked out of the Champions League, and yeah, they won the league by a point. Like they were pushed all the way. And I think when you look at other seasons and how City have like dominated things, like do you not almost look at that and think because like realistically, City could have ended this season trophyless, which is that's mental. Like especially in this kind of modern era that we're in right now.
I think it is. I think it's a success.
Yeah.
Just because of how good Liverpool are.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like obviously, I get what you're saying. I mean, like who did they lose to in the cups?
So
They lost to Liverpool in the FA Cup. I know
yeah,
that
Liverpool
much.
knocked them out of the FA Cup.
League Cup, I don't
I
know.
can't remember. And then obviously Real Madrid did a Real Madrid in the Champions League on them.
Oh, that was that. They lost to West Ham.
Oh yeah, because didn't they?
Penalties.
Didn't they back to back knock both like Manchester clubs out? Didn't they take City out and then you or like
no,
you
Man United then City.
Yeah, gotta remember that. What an absolutely biblical cup run that West Ham won. That was legendary.
I think if Liverpool weren't as good, I think you would consider it a little bit of disappointment. I mean, look, you'd want to win as many trophies as you can, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
However, look, there's no shame getting knocked out by Liverpool.
Oh yeah,
in the FA Cup. Obviously, we'll get to the Champions League. Wow. You know what? I'm actually might have to backtrack just because of how they got eliminated in the Champions League. I might have to backtrack. The way they lost, I might have to actually
because like they were there. They
bottled it.
What, like 5 minutes away from it, and then I don't know. I'm willing to cut them like a little bit of slack because it's not just City that it happened to. Like, they kind of sucker punched PSG in exactly the same way in the round of 16. And I guess to an extent, they kind of did it to Liverpool in the final. And they also kind of did it to Chelsea as well. But we were just awful in the first leg. So they only needed to score like one anyway. But, yeah, this Real Madrid team have been really strange.
We will get to
that's another thing. But yeah, I just think it's an interesting way to potentially look at it. Obviously, it's because
I'll give City the benefit of the doubt for the fact they don't have a striker.
Yeah,
and they won the league with this good Liverpool side, so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Call this a success. And 4 Premier Leagues in the past 5 years? Like, come on.
Yeah.
So I would call this a success.
That's fair. I think the other way we almost have to look at this is this Liverpool team are so unlucky because like it kind of hurts me saying how unlucky this team is when they literally pipped Chelsea to both cup finals, both on penalties. So, I don't really want to talk about which team is lucky and who isn't. But it's almost so unfortunate for them that they are so good, and yet they just so happen to be around in the same era as Pep's Man City. So, like, when we talk about how good this Liverpool team are and how many points they've scored in the league, and yet they've only got one title to show for it, like, it almost seems like insane that is like all they've got league wise to show for how good they've been.
I am not going to comment on Liverpool until we talk Champions League.
Okay.
And then I'm going to touch on everything Liverpool. Because I have a lot to say.
Okay. All right. We'll do Champions League next. I just want to quickly touch on the whole Haaland to Man City. We might as well.
Yes.
Obviously, like you've said, Man City have scarily won the league 4 out of the last 5 times, which is fucking terrifying. And then they're adding Erling Haaland as well. Now, the one, I don't know if reservation is maybe the right word, because I think Man City plus Haaland is terrifying. But I suppose the one thing that makes me feel almost not think it's that much of the end of the world as everyone else seems to is inserting Haaland into that team is going to require a big shift tactically. And not that I don't think Pep can do it. I'm sure they'll be fine. And then I guess B, the other thing is, like, as amazing as Haaland is, I think if you look at his like injury record, it's actually not that great. Like, I think for Dortmund this season, he played only about 60% of like available minutes or something, which is kind of nuts when he's missed like almost half a season because of injuries. So I think in that regard, I'm trying to find that comforting. It's like, well, hopefully he won't be playing every single week then. But yeah, I'm afraid.
I'm scared.
Yeah, it's scared. bad news bears for everyone else.
So, FA Cup first, then Champions League.
Yes, cool. Let's do it.
So FA Cup, obviously Liverpool won on penalties.
Bastards.
Again. All I can ask is, how does it feel losing 2 finals in a row in penalties?
Really good. Yeah, I've never been really good. No, I mean, look, it's gutting. Like, I think I'll chuck Carabao Cup and FA Cup just into one thing. I mean, losing the Carabao Cup on penalties was hard because we were like so good in that game. Like, I think we executed our plan to perfection, and we just, typical Chelsea. I feel like I say this every time I talk about Chelsea. We just did not finish our dinner. Like, we had so many chances, it was stupid. But of course, we didn't put them in the back of the net unless we're offside, because that's when we seem to put our shooting boots on, is when we're anyway. So that was tough, and to lose it because Kepa took a field goal from the penalty spot was also hard. But I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt on that. He's probably not practicing penalties too much. He's a keeper, whatever. I'll allow that. I think the FA Cup one hit me harder because it was literally just felt like pure deja vu. It was like, oh my God, we're here again. The defense has done their jobs yet again. We haven't finished anything. Because I think, to be honest, although we played pretty well and we did still go kind of toe to toe with Liverpool for a lot of the game, I think we played a lot better in the Carabao Cup final than we did in the FA Cup final. There were points in that FA Cup final when I was thinking, oh my God, just, put us out of our misery. Like, Liverpool were kind of dominating us for a large part of that. But when it goes to penalties, it's almost like a 50-50, really, isn't it? But I think I always had in the back of my head, I was like, yeah, they're gonna do it, aren't they? Like, I think I had that feeling.
The thing is, right, it's only because they mentioned the stat before he took his penalty about Mason Mount
Yeah.
losing in like I think it was like 4 finals or
Yeah, the last like 5 times he's been to Wembley.
yeah.
He's lost, yeah.
As soon as I saw that stat and I saw he was going to take the penalty, I was like, he's gonna miss.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think look, it's kind of hard because like I was obviously rooting for Chelsea that game. I don't want Liverpool winning jack shit. Uh, but like I think I think like the fact that you've held Liverpool to both finals for it to go down to a penalty shootout shows how much of a good side you are. It's unfortunate both occasions you've been on on the losing end,
Mm-hmm.
but I still think you can take some solace in the fact that you've gone toe to toe with one of the best teams in the world, and lost due to a lottery.
Yeah, I think that's the way we, like, I guess we as Chelsea fans need to look at it. It's like, yeah, it's it's shit. Like losing any final, especially like that, is hard. And not that we're any strangers to that. Like, obviously, there's the Champions League final where obviously John Terry slipped against, I can't remember. But let's so we've done heartbreaking cup losses before. We've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. But
Mm,
yeah, I think when you've seen how good Liverpool and City have been like in the league and other competitions this year, to know that over the 90 minutes we can do that, we can compete with them, we know we can. We just need to tidy up the other 34 games a season that we seem to sort of drop the ball in. That's
mm,
it's kind of weirdly comforting. And again, I know it's probably not the way I should look at it, but to know that we only lost because of penalties is somehow better. Like, it's not as if we turned up to the finals and just got absolutely slapped
mm,
up. Which is weird actually, because we played Liverpool 4 times this season and we've drawn every single time. Neither of us has beaten the other at any point during the season, which is odd. But yeah, it's disappointing. But it's done. I'm sure we'll be back at Wembley soon enough. We go again. It is what it is.
mhm. Um, so let's talk with the big one, which is the
The Europa
Champions,
Conference League. Oh yeah, no, sorry. Yeah.
the Champions League. Um, so obviously Real Madrid somehow won the FA Cup with the most ridiculous run I've ever seen. Um, which is fair play. Um, but the fact that Courtois was man of the match shows how that game went.
Okay. I watched that because BT Sport put it on YouTube for free
Yes.
because I don't have BT Sport. Holy shit. Like, some of the saves he was pulling off were outrageous.
Were
Like,
insane.
that's the kind of game that you play on FIFA and your controller goes out the window because you're like, that's bullshit. Nobody is making those. It was outrageous. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Courtois certainly earned his money
Yeah,
that
and
evening. My
and
God.
and like, but like to go through PSG,
Yeah.
then beating the defending champions in Chelsea,
Mm-hmm.
then to somehow knock out Man City,
Yeah.
right? Then to beat Real Madrid, then to beat Liverpool without even conceding a goal in that final, which I was fully expecting them to.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, you know what? Fair play. And the one thing I do want to actually mention, right, is which is actually pissing me off, quite frankly, is like Talk Sport and stuff. People on Talk Sport going, "Oh, Liverpool are undoubtedly the best team in Europe. The Real Madrid are like were like an eighth or eighth best team in Europe." Like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, no. Like, They're not. Real Madrid are the best team in Europe. They won the Champions League.
Mhm.
Like, regardless, the first half Liverpool all over them. For me, second half Real Madrid were the better team.
Yeah, it got a lot more like open, didn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, as much as I love like UK coverage of stuff, sometimes I get that like UK channels and stuff are always gonna root for like the English teams and stuff, but sometimes it's like just you don't have to be biased. Like it's okay. We can appreciate other football teams other than the ones from England. It's all right. We can do that. That's okay.
Well, exactly. And now that it's finally just talk about freaking Liverpool because it's actually just annoying me. Like, look, right. First of all, I don't want to hear Salah being named in the world's best footballer ever again. Like, Mane is a better player than Salah for
Oh,
me,
big call.
right?
Okay.
Like, not being funny. Every time I've seen a big game for Liverpool, Mane is the one that shows up,
Hmm.
right? Thierry Henry said it himself, right? Salah talked that talk before the game, before the final. Do your talking on the pitch,
Yeah, he was very quiet. Very quiet.
and like, and I'm smiling because they were being hailed as one of the best teams in 3 years, and yet they won the same amount of trophies as United did when we won the League Cup Europa League.
Oh my god, yeah. Holy cow.
Like, come on.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because
For me, Liverpool season's disappointing.
yeah, I would say so. I think when you're pushing on all four fronts when it comes down to like the last day of the Premier League season and to only come away with two trophies. Not that two trophies is bad, but yeah, I guess it's similar to like Arsenal not getting Champions League. Like it's about perspective, isn't it? If you'd have offered them two trophies at the beginning of the season, they'd have been like wicked. But if you offer them two trophies, given where they were, like right at the end of the season, it's all of a sudden like, oh, well,
The,
that's
the thing is, right? At the four trophies, they won. Because I'm only saying this because the FA Cup has just kind of lost its value,
okay.
right? In this day and age, I think a lot of people don't care about the FA Cup as much,
Yeah.
right? But you've literally probably won the two less significant trophies out of the four,
Hmm.
right? Like, say if you won Premier League, League Cup would have been better than FA Cup, League Cup.
Yeah, I get that.
Like League Cup, Champions League would be better than what they won. They won and the thing is, you won both finals on penalties. You didn't exactly blow it out of the water.
Yeah, so this is my like problem, I guess, because I will stick up for this Liverpool team. I think it's highly unlikely that for a very long time we're going to see one team push for a quadruple as hard as that. Like be that close to the league, get to every single final, play literally every single game available to them, and only just miss out on stuff. But yeah, you do have to look at it as they played in three cup finals and didn't score a single goal in those 270 minutes plus the two extra times in the Carabao Cup and FA Cup, and that kind of takes that
This
like it takes a
Look,
bit of a shine off it, right?
as much as like I'm bantering and like being a United fan, it's just like I'm smiling because
Yeah, yeah.
this, that, and the other. Like, I'm not discounting how fantastic the team Liverpool are,
Hmm.
but it pains me to say it because they're absolutely fantastic, right? But you can't. You For me, what's annoying to me is they're being held as this unbeatable gods that
Hmm.
some people are saying, and yet you don't play three finals and not score a goal.
Yeah.
You don't, not be funny, especially against a Real Madrid defense which is leaky,
Hmm.
right? Okay, look, Chelsea better better defense than Real Madrid. I'm still expecting them to at least score at least one.
Yeah, yeah. I think I think the thing that almost kind of hammers it home as well is like I get it. I get it's different in a final, but when Chelsea played that second leg against Real in the Champions League, obviously at that point we kind of had nothing to lose. Like they'd beaten us convincingly at Stamford Bridge, so we kind of had to go for it. But I mean, our attack has been misfiring all season pretty much, and even we managed to go to the Bernabeu and score 3 times against them. Technically 4, which I don't even really think was offside, but whatever, it's given. If we can manage that with, as good as our attack is, it's been pretty dysfunctional like for most of the season. Let's be honest, and if we can do that across, a 90-minute period, then it does seem strange to me that they weren't able to.
And the thing is, Liverpool won't be as good next season. They're
No.
they're losing one of their best players in Mane.
Mhm.
Mane's gone. Might probably to Bayern Munich. Who did look? Diaz is a fantastic player, right? I obviously need to see him in one full season.
Yeah,
Obviously,
he still needs to prove himself. 100%.
um, you don't know what's going on with that. I know he said he's staying for one more season, but then is he going to stay after that? You know, I I I I don't see. I think Liverpool are going to be worse next season.
I think they'll struggle to be as good as they have been. And I think
This season, yeah.
the other kind of question marks is like, I really like Diogo Jota. I love him as a player. I liked him when he was at Wolves. I think he's been good for them at Liverpool, and his like goals per minutes ratio is pretty mental. Like he seems to be their kind of super sub that comes on. But like, is he going to be able to replace Mane's output? Probably not. At
Mm-hmm.
least not like straight away. Like he needs a proper run in that team. I think Firmino, I think he's a good player, but like never been the most prolific goal scorer in the world. And
No.
then who have they got behind that? Like, are we still relying on like Takumi Minamino? It's like Divock Origi's gone now, so
Yeah, he
it's
went to
like
AC. He went to AC.
it's yeah. I think they're gonna have to
Obviously,
pull something
again,
out.
recruitment can change a lot of things. Like the transfer window's only barely been open.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, who we don't know. Lewandowski could somehow end there, even though I think he's off to Barca.
yeah,
Um, but you don't know. I just I think I think Mane leaving. I actually think is huge.
yeah. Hmm.
I think it's so huge, and I do want to touch on Liverpool a little bit because I want to speak about Alexander Arnold
Okay.
specifically because right now I don't want him starting for England.
Ooh, okay. Who would you put in
I'd have
over
Reece
him?
James there.
Agreed. I have come to the conclusion that I think Reece James is better than Alexander Arnold.
Offensively, Alexander Arnold all day.
I think Reece James is more well-rounded. I think.
That's that's because I look at the Real Madrid goal. You lose your man.
Mm,
Like, I partly blame him for that goal, and if I'm okay, hypothetically, if England get to the quarterfinals and the protection was supposed to play France, right, in that quarterfinal, if we get there,
yeah.
right, I do not trust TAA against France. I would have more faith in Reece James being there.
Yeah.
You know, um, I think offensively he's the best right back in the world.
Yeah. No.
Offensively,
That's yeah. Yeah.
offensively he's the best right back in the world. Defensively, he's improved, but not. I still think he needs to do more
Yeah.
defensively.
There's always been those question marks around his like out and out defensive ability, hasn't there? And I don't think
Because
what happened in the finals helped.
you
Yeah.
look at it really as well. when teams attack Liverpool, they mainly attack TAA's side.
Mhm.
Like there's sometimes like Robert they do attack Robertson, but more often than not, it's down that side where Alexander Arnold is because they know sometimes he's just because I think the problem with Trent is I think he thinks too much about going forward.
Yeah,
Which fair play with his ability, fair freaking enough, right? But you are technically still a defender. You
yeah,
need to have that side of the need to have a bit more to that game. Like I still think if you could have a mix of Trent and Wan-Bissaka, just because Wan-Bissaka defensively I still think is insane.
yeah, yeah.
Uh mix of them two, you'd have the perfect
Hmm.
the perfect right back, you know. But it's going to be interesting as well with midfield because obviously Milner, obviously he's getting on. I've never been a fan of Henderson. I think he's okay. Um, I still think you need someone to have alongside Thiago who's a bit better.
Yeah, I do like Henderson, but I think he's he's kind of got like two qualities which I think are good. I think he's a good leader. I think he's a good captain of that team. And then he seems to be one of those players who's got he's got a really good engine room as well. Like if nothing else, he will just run and he'll kind of put
Mm.
that hard yardage in. But yeah, I think past that, I don't necessarily think he's the most kind of he's not like a technically gifted player. Like when you see some of the stuff that like Thiago does on the ball, it's like I don't really think Anderson could do that. But yeah, I think the more I'm thinking about it, this Liverpool team are kind of getting towards a bit of a transitionary sort of period, aren't they?
Yeah, so it's just going to be as I said, it's going to be interesting to see what Liverpool does going forward. I think this summer will tell a lot, and I think they'll still be like first or second next year,
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
without a doubt. Um, but I think they'll get as many points as they did this year? No. Do I think they'll be challenging for all four trophies again next year? No.
No, I think this was their I think this felt like their shot. If they were gonna have that massive statement quadruple season, I think this was it. And like I know Klopp's got a history of kind of remotivating his players, like when they lost the Champions League final the first time and got straight back there. But I
Mm.
mean, again they've won two trophies this season. That's good. But I think picking them up from not winning the Premier League and then losing the Champions League in the space of like a week, that's going to be tough. Surely, even for someone like Jurgen Klopp, that's going to be a tough job.
Well, you know what? Like, all I want, like, next year is obviously for Man United to win the league, even though that's going to happen. But is is like I want to see excitement. I think as football fans, we all do.
Yeah,
We all want excitement, despite like obviously we don't want our rival teams doing well. But this was like just to end off this whole season with regards to like Premier League, Champions League, even the two cup finals were exciting
oh yeah.
because Premier League went to final day. Both finals went to but the both English finals went to penalties, and the Champions League final was decent. So
Yeah, I think we've been absolutely spoiled this year. Like I think obviously we're not going to talk about sort of other competitions as like in as much detail, but I obviously I'm a Chelsea fan, so I've got a bit of a natural hatred for West Ham, but I quite enjoyed following their journey in the Europa League. I was kind of rooting for them a little bit. Like, I thought it was fun. Like,
yeah, Europa League. Let's talk about that.
big Davy Moyes and West Ham, and they didn't make it to the final, and I was a bit,
I was gutted.
I was pretty gutted for them.
I was gutted, right? Because obviously, like even though I'm a United fan, I am my closest team is.
They're your local team, aren't they? Yeah.
Well, no, I support Leyton Orient if I support a local team. Uh, but like because I know a lot of obviously for where I am, like a lot of my friends are West Ham fans,
Mm.
and to see their journey, and I'm gonna say this right now, if West Ham reached that final, I think they would have won it.
Yeah, it would have been them. Well,
For
because I mean,
Rangers,
you've got
I
the other half of that tie as well. Rangers got to a fucking Europa League final. What is that? Madness.
that was absolutely insane. Obviously Frankfurt won the whole thing.
I was gutted. I would have absolutely loved a West Ham Rangers Europa League final. That would have been off the chart.
You
That would
know,
have been
but
so good.
you know what? Fair play to Frankfurt to go through Barcelona,
Yeah.
West Ham, then Rangers. Fair play. I wasn't
And
expecting it.
the thing is, obviously, I know the Europa League final went to penalties as well.
Mm-hmm.
Watch those, if you haven't already, those 5 Frankfurt penalties. I have never seen 5 cleaner penalties in my life. They are outrageous, and we've got to give them credit, like mentality wise as well. I mean, going 1-0 down in a Europa League final or in any final is like, it's tough.
Oh yeah.
We've seen it, like, Liverpool went 1-0 down to Real Madrid, and as hard as they tried, they couldn't overcome that deficit. Like, it's tough. And the fact that they went 1-0 down and just got back up, obviously equalized, took it all the way to penalties, and ended up winning it. So yeah, like you said, we got a big credit to Frankfurt. Obviously, they unfortunately knocked out some UK teams and beat them, but we were spoiled. That was a good competition.
Yeah.
It was good.
Just find it funny that the Arsenal reject kind of missed the penalty for Rangers, but
Yeah, look, you can take the boy out of Arsenal, but anyway, again, I guess
quickly
we'll briefly touch on Conference League as well. Yeah,
fair play to Roma.
Big Jose Mourinho, and a very promising young guy actually that I wouldn't mind seeing Chelsea sign. I think he's called Tammy Abraham. He's very good actually. Obviously we'll do some more videos later down the line, probably about, like, I guess maybe we could do like a video on like who we'd want our clubs to sign, like maybe a top 5 maybe, but I think comfortably in my top 5 would be these 2 lads from it or that are playing in Italy right now. Tammy Abraham at Roma, he's wicked. Don't know where he came from, but he's really good. That Fikayo Tomori at Milan as well. Oh, fantastic player that Chelsea could really use right now. But anyway, we move. That is what it is. Couldn't be my team.
You know what? Fair play to him, and I want to give the big a shout just because he used to play for us to Chris Smalling.
Yeah.
Fair, you know what? Fair play. He's doing really well for Roma.
I feel like he was kind of one of those centre backs, almost not. I don't think he was memed as much as Phil Jones, but he was one of those centre backs that was kind of almost like joked about a bit. And when he went to Roma, I was kind of like, that's never going to work. But like you said, fair play to him. He's doing the business, and he's won a European trophy. That's a decent career pie.
Let's talk the promoted teams. So Fulham.
Oh yeah, shit, yeah.
So,
coming up to the
Premier League, we have Fulham, who won the championship by landslide. Bournemouth, and first time in 23 years, Nottingham Forest.
We've already, I think we've already covered Fulham. We spoke about Fulham quite decently. Let's do Bournemouth next. So I'm quite happy for Bournemouth, to be fair. They're one of those teams that when they were in the Premier League, I always quite liked them because they always seemed like quite a sort of plucky little team. Because like the thing that I find mental is I know that the Vitality Stadium is small. It's not very big. But what I didn't realise is that obviously Adams Park, Wickham Stadium, is literally like 5 minutes away from me. And Adams Park is only like 500 seats smaller than Vitality Stadium. So, I always knew that Bournemouth's ground was small, but to think there's like a ground that tiny that's hosting Premier League games, I kind of love it. Like, I absolutely love the fact that there's like a 12,000 seater stadium in the Premier League. I love it. But yeah, I'm happy to see them back up. I always quite like them as a sort of plucky
I
little team.
do think they will go straight back down.
Yes, agreed. But I think it's nice for them. But yeah, I think definitely the biggest story
Is
is big
Forest.
old Nottingham Forest. And let's let's make no mistakes about it. In terms of pedigree and heritage, this is a huge
Oh,
team,
it's huge.
and I am so buzzing they're back in the Premier League.
It's good. Like it's to see. I think when I saw it was going to be Huddersfield be Forest in that championship final, just because it's been so long, I really wanted Forest.
Yeah,
I really wanted Forest in the final. So to see them back it's so good for the Premier League. It really, really is. They will go back down.
do you think so?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't
Um,
know. I have a weird bit of faith in them just because I know like the journey they've been on this season. Um, like I know they got a new manager in sort of like fairly early on through the season. His name escapes me because, as always, I'm terribly unprepared for this. But I know that when he took over, Forest were like rock bottom of the championship, and then he's become manager. Obviously, skyrocketed them up the table and has ended up bringing them up. So I think at the moment there's that real like feel good factor around this team. I mean, not that, let's be honest, not that means anything when you get to the Premier
mm,
League. I'm sure every time Norwich come up, there's probably a proper good feeling around them, and it doesn't happen. Like it's
mm.
one of those things. But yeah, I hope they stay up as that.
Oh, I think for the sake of Premier League heritage, I would like them to stay up. I just
Mhm.
can't see it.
No, it's just whether they can, yeah, because it's all well and good playing like a Premier League team as like a one-off game in like an FA Cup or something, but when those fixtures are coming thick and fast and you're
Mm,
only playing Premier League teams, that's different gravy, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Right, let's get on to some awards then. So
Yes.
what what are we feeling here? Are we
So so
doing
we're gonna do. I think best sign in, flop, underachievers, overachievers, maybe.
okay? I think yeah, I think that's good. Um
I can't say best goal because no goals really come to mind, really. Not at the top of my head.
Only one I can think of, and this might be me being a little bit biased, was that Antonio Rudiger one, where because I know he takes about 3 shots from 40 yards out every single game, and then there was just that one he took and it actually went in, and I
Mm,
I kind of lost my shit at that. But yeah, fair play. I'll allow that. I think yeah, let's stick with those four, and then if we think of any others
mm.
along the way, we'll go for that. So yeah, go on then. Best transfer. Have you got someone in mind? Because I think I do, and yeah, I think I've got someone in mind.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, I
You can go first.
okay, I have two players in mind for this, and I'm not gonna say who the one is that I'm not gonna give it to because I have a feeling that might be who you've chosen, but maybe not. I'm gonna go with a bit of business that was actually done in January, just because I think it was a phenomenal bit of business. And I'm not even going to go Luis Diaz because I think he's been incredible. He has been really good, but I think there was a January signing that was even better. Uh, I'm going to go Dejan Kulishevsky for Spurs. I think his statistics have been amazing. I think the way Conte has used him, I think the boost he provided to that Spurs team really helped them get top four. And as much as I dislike giving it to a Spurs player, I don't. I think he's been an absolutely phenomenal bit of business. So
Mm.
yeah, I'm gonna go with the ginger Swedish fella. Thanks for Spurs.
Nice. Um, you might be a bit surprised of who I'm gonna pick
Ooh, okay.
because I'm actually gonna say Antonio Conte as best signing
Okay. Yeah. Bit
because
outside the box. I
bit
like it. I
outside the
like it.
box because Spurs were in a freaking disarray,
Yeah.
and the fact that Levy convinced him to join
Yeah.
and it did the job he did by signing players like Romero, Kulusevski, got them playing and managed to get them top four. You know what? Fair play. And the other person I was going to mention would have been Eddie Howe. So I'm not even going players.
No,
Like,
fair.
because you've got to remember, a manager plays a huge part in how a team plays. And yes, a player can be a revelation, but for me, those two signings transformed their teams respectively.
Mhm.
So I'd have to go Conte or Eddie Howe.
Yeah, that's understandable. I think I'm just gonna ping out a couple of honorable mentions. But like I said, I think Luis Diaz is a great shout. I think
Mm-hmm.
um who else was I thinking of? I literally had a thought in my head. Oh yeah, probably feel good story of the year, but he also backed it up. I think you cannot overlook what Christian Eriksen
Oh, for
did
sure.
for Brentford because obviously Brentford kind of started the season off on absolute flames. I don't know what happened. They were like a team possessed. And then they kind of started to lose it a bit and went on an absolutely honking run of form to the point where I was a bit worried they might kind of sleepwalk themselves into the relegation fight. And then Christian Eriksen comes in and there's also all these questions over like, is he actually still, is he actually still good at football? Like, can he do this? And I think for how he turned Brentford around, he's a phenomenal addition. I think, like you said, I don't think they're going to keep hold of him. I don't think they've got the finances, and I think he's shown that he deserves to be playing for a, no offense, bigger team than Brentford.
Mm.
But yeah, I think it's impossible to overlook what he's done. I think he's been absolutely unreal. Um, I think that's about it. I think that's all I've got in terms of
Mm.
best bits of business. I think because I think this summer's been a bit of a weird one. I think there's been a lot of moves that haven't worked
Mm.
as much as they'd like. Obviously, not that I'd know being a Chelsea fan, all of our transfers are perfect. Flop of the year then. I mean, I'll fuck it. I'll go first. Flogging a dead horse at this point. Romelu Lukaku. I think just rule of thumb: never spend £100 million on a player. I can't remember any team that spent 100 mil on a player and it's actually ended up working. It just seems like a terrible idea. So I'm sorry, Rom, because he did start to turn it around, and like some games at the end of our season, he was like our best player on the pitch at points. But it's not worked for one reason or another, and yeah, it's been tough and a bit painful because rewind to like People's Game episode number 1. I was so gassed that Chelsea were going to win the league because we'd signed Romelu Lukaku, and here we are, having not won the Premier
Mm.
League. So it's good times. Moving on.
I think that to be honest, I was gonna say Lukaku. Um, Now I'm gonna just to not pick the same player, despite winning the Premier League. I'm gonna go Grealish.
Yeah, understandable.
Um, he didn't do enough for me.
No.
Look, and I know I could say Sancho, but I still think Sancho as a whole performed in more games than Grealish did.
Yeah, I think that's
Um,
understandable.
for the amount of money that City paid for him and to be in that City side, I expected Grealish to do a lot more, and he
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah. I think next season's going to be big for Grealish because I think it's very easy with Grealish to get bogged down on just pure like goals and assist numbers. Like I think he offers more than that to a team, but I guess it's almost like the same thing as you know, like with Romelu Lukaku, or like I said, like anyone who goes for anywhere around the £100 million mark, that price tag is always going to be hung over you. Like I think that's almost the problem that like Harry Maguire has at United is like he's got that price tag is hung over him.
Mm.
And there's so many other players like that, like Coutinho at Barcelona. He didn't set the world on fire. So like the price tag is just there. And it's always going to be an issue when like that amount of money is spent out and they don't set the world on fire,
Mm.
like because it's instantly going to be seen as not good enough. And it's fair, it's valid,
Yeah,
it's valid.
a couple of honorable mentions. Sancho would be one. Sticking with my club, I would put Varane in there.
Ooh.
Um, I look okay. He has been probably our best centre back, but he's still been pretty awful.
Well, yeah, that's fair. There's not
um,
no one's been particularly
um,
particularly fantastic.
I mean, if it wasn't for David De Gea, like I don't know where we would have been. Um, I'm just trying to think of like other, obviously. So as I said, Lukaku. You know,
Well, okay, this might be a bit harsh, but I'm gonna go with it. Can we potentially look at all of Norwich's transfer business being a bit of a flop because they were in like the top 10 net spenders in world football this year?
I can't because it wasn't Dean Smith's choice.
Valid point. Okay, I'll accept that.
If Dean Smith was in charge for the whole season and it was like that, then yes, I would agree.
Yeah, okay. Fair.
Um, I am trying to defend you here, Norwich. But
Yeah, come
like
on. My man's trying his best.
I do like obviously agree with you in some sense. But it's kind of hard to judge considering the manager wasn't really charge. I'm trying to look at the
Le-
league.
Leon Bailey. I think I expected more of him at Villa
That's a
than
shout.
he has. Like I know he's kind of had injury problems and stuff, and guess you can maybe say the same about Danny Ings as well. Probably expected a bit more of him going to Villa, although I think Danny Ings towards the end of the season started playing pretty well, so I guess kind of turn around a bit. Yeah, I really expected a lot from Leon Bailey, and like I said again, I get he's had injury problems and adjusting to a new league and stuff, but yeah, I think in terms of what I was expecting, I thought a lot more was going to come from him than actually came out.
Yeah, so we shall go on underachievers.
Liverpool. No. Oh, do
My
I
my,
say
cho- my choice is freaking easy.
go on, go
I'm
for it.
gonna I'm gonna say Man United, like for like simple reasons of as soon as we signed Ronaldo, Varane, Sancho, everyone's thinking we're going to be title challengers. We did finish second, literally the season before.
Oh my god, yeah, that feels like years ago, doesn't it?
You know, like everyone thought we were going to freaking challenge for the league. Lo and behold, we finished fucking six. Like we finish on a goal difference of 0.
Mm-hmm. I
You
mean, just
know,
that in itself that's
is
wild.
that's insane. Like we were expecting so much and for it to happen the way it is.
Mhm.
It's I can't say this, and the only other team I'd mention would probably be Everton.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think I I have a couple. Um, Part of me, just for the banter, wants to go Man City, but that feels harsh because I think any team that wins the Premier League has had a good season, regardless
Mm,
of whatever the circumstances are. If you've proved that you're the best team in the country over 38 games, that cannot be classed as a bad season. Um, I think to an extent, I would say Chelsea. I think given where I thought we would be at the beginning of the season and where a lot of other people thought we would be at the beginning of the season, to walk away with what we have is disappointing.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I'm not even going to come at that with a counterpoint. It has been a bit of a disappointing season with Chelsea. I think the team I am going to go with though is, yeah, you've mentioned them, is Everton.
hmm
Um, with the amount of investment that's been in that team, it's what, like £500 million has been ploughed into that team from the owners, and they should never have been anywhere near relegation. That should never have even been a thought in the farthest reaches of an Everton fan's mind. So the fact that it was very real, and if anything seemed like it was going to happen with like 6 7 games to go, is ridiculous. And I think next season is going to be huge for Lampard and for Everton, um, because
absolutely.
they cannot let that happen again. That's outrageous
Oh
for a
no.
team. Let's do biggest surprise of the season. I think let's do that. That kind of leaves it a bit more open, doesn't it? I think.
um,
Big.
I've got two.
I was gonna say I've got one off the top of my head. Um, I should tell you, yeah, I've got two. Should we do one each and like take it in
Okay.
turns if we both got two? Go on then. I'll let you go first.
I think we might have picked the same one though. So, Brentford.
Oh no, I hadn't picked Brentford. Okay.
Um, I thought they would have been down straight away.
Hmm.
We've been over this. But for them to do as well as they have, I mean, you beat Arsenal first game of the season. Like, good
Huge.
start. Sorry, Arsenal fans. Like, I don't intend to ban you all the time, but it's just natural.
I'm not sorry, Arsenal fans.
um, but for them to be like, I would say, like, for a newly promoted team that's never been in the Premier League, they've done very, very well.
Yeah.
And then to get Christian Eriksen there in the first place, regardless of what happened to him and stuff like that,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like for him to go to Brentford and to change that team, and they've been an absolute breath of fresh air, and I absolutely commend them for it. I'm a bit scared for second season syndrome.
Hmm.
Um, for them, I think that's going to be the big problem. Obviously, as I said, we've discussed, can't see Christian Eriksen staying.
Hmm.
If they keep him, that's a huge statement.
Oh yeah, big time.
Um, and if they have a bit of investment, I'll say this: if they keep Christian Eriksen and they get like maybe one or two signings, they stay up for me
Yeah, I think so.
next season. So yeah, big surprise and fully well done to them. So Brentford would be my first pick.
Cool. My first big surprise, I'm gonna go for West Ham. Just because I obviously they were really good last season, and I think along with pretty much everyone, I thought they were only going to improve this season. But I think the one thing I was always worried about was that their squad was very small. They didn't
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of depth. So obviously when there was all this chat about them kind of pushing on as many fronts as possible, and I thought, yeah, 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 all right. But I think given the size of their squad, the fact they went as far as they did in the Europa League fine or in the Europa League rather, and knocked out some of the teams that they did in the cup competitions, and the fact that they have finished as high as they have in the Premier League. Obviously, it's probably not as high as they'd want, but I think given the firepower they've had and the size of the squad, I think they've done. I think the job David Moyes has done is incredible. Like, other than Mikel Antonio, do they have any other strikers in the team? Because I don't think they do. But like,
think Bowen's
they
a winger more
yeah,
than a
that's what I mean.
striker.
Like, he's more of a he kind of fills in, but he's not an out and out striker. And I just think, like I said, with what they've had available to them, I think the job that good old Davy Moyes has done, I think has been phenomenal. So again, like I said, with my affiliation being the way it is, I have a slight natural dislike of them, but I've been so impressed with everything they've done this season. And credit where credit's due. They've been a really good team this season.
Yep. My second choice is Brighton.
Oh, that's a great shout. Yeah, okay.
Because I'm looking at the league table now. They only finished 7 points away from a Europa League place.
Wow. Okay.
Um, Mr. Potter has done a fantastic job
He's unreal. He's
at
amazing.
that freaking club because teams don't want to play Brighton now.
Mm.
It's actually become that. Like you look at the fixture, like you go Brighton, like, oh, that's a tricky one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's a tricky one. Like they've got a decent squad, a few really good players. And the only problem I think Brighton has is they had this season is they just went through a little bit of a slump where they just didn't score any goals.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But apart from that little slump, they were like consistently always a challenge for all the big teams. They are really, really decent side. And like for me, I can't when they first joined, I thought they would get relegated. Brighton for me are a consistent team now. I can't see them going anywhere near the relegation zone,
Yeah.
like at all. And they've just done such a good job. And you know what? Fair freaking play to finish ninth is insane.
Yeah, they're a good team. And even Pep Guardiola says, when he comes up against Brighton, he's full of praise for Graham Potter. And I think, if there's one person whose opinion you can probably trust on football, it's probably Pep. So
Yeah.
yeah, if Pep's got good things to say about manager, you can imagine that he's doing something right. And
Mm.
yeah, I'd hard agree with that. My second one is, again, I know we mentioned it a bit earlier, so I'm not going to spend too long talking about it, but I'm going to go with Eddie Howe and, like, I guess / Newcastle. All with the horrifically bad start to the season that Newcastle had, and let's not get away from it, it was ridiculous. And no team has ever turned it around from the start that they had. Again, obviously, you can point to the investment all you want, but it takes a lot more than just buying players to get out of situations. And he had improved the team before those additions even got made to the squad. And
Yep.
I think, yeah, just given the position that Newcastle were in, it was such a. I know times for Newcastle fans recently have been pretty hard, but I have never known such a negative feeling around a team like that Newcastle atmosphere when Steve Bruce was on his way out. And I think for him to come into that team after, being out of management for a good couple of years now, I think there was a lot of question marks over that. And there was that whole drama about him not even being first choice. They wanted like Unai Emery and like other people first. And I think he had so much to manage coming into that situation, and I think he's absolutely smashed it.
Yep. Definitely has. Absolutely. And now it's just going to be interesting to see what's going forward. And the only hope I have is I'm really hoping Newcastle don't go down the road of thinking that because Howell's not a big profile name that they would get rid of him. I just
Yeah,
that's the only worry I have with Newcastle. Um, I mean, if they ever did get rid of Howe for that reason, I think that'd make me sick to my stomach.
yeah.
Unless, of course, it's a warranted sacking. I mean, you don't want to see anyone lose their job, but like, if he was doing a very, very bad job and then they decided to sack him, like, fair enough. But like, if he's doing a decent job and they still want to sack him because they want to have a high profile name, then
Yeah, it's it's kind of like I said earlier about like the signings and stuff. I think at the moment he's doing a great job and he's building something special. And if we want to get into a conversation of, do I think he's the guy that's gonna see them long term to, like, what, in, like, I don't know, 5, 10 years, winning leagues, Champions Leagues, whatever? Probably not. But
mm-hmm,
for right now and for what he's done, he's doing a great job. Don't ruin a good thing before before it's
mm-hmm.
even started. I think he's more than earned his money this season, and
Yeah, for sure.
I'm excited to see where they go next season. I think it's going to be good fun. But anyway, I think that finally brings us to an end.
Yes, it does.
My goodness. Well, this has been good fun, mate. I've
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed this. We'll be back trying to do as much kind of content in the off season as possible. Obviously, as the transfer window is now open. This Sadio Mane thing is going to be carrying on for a while. I think obviously this Lewandowski deal is going to be going on for a while. So there's a lot to talk about. I mean, we'll definitely have to talk about Kylian Mbappe's deal as well. We didn't even get onto that, and that is, I mean, yeah, that's
He's that contract is ridiculous.
exactly. There's a lot to unpack there. We'll get onto that. I promise. We'll get back to making content. Then, before we know it, the season will have kicked off again, and we'll
Yes.
be doing this all over again
And
with
I and then I'm hoping maybe what we could also do, and like I'm sure you would agree, is we could maybe get like a guest on who supports like a club, and we can get them to talk about their own club,
yeah,
their
100%.
thoughts for the future, stuff like that, which is what I'm hoping to do eventually. So exciting stuff hopefully coming.
Yeah, no, let's do it. I think we'll probably be making predictions like we did last season, which turned out great, and you definitely shouldn't check them because they're absolutely fine. There's so much
Don't
for us
put
to
your
do.
money on it. That's what I'm
No,
saying.
just don't. Yeah, if you're looking to put a cheeky bet on, don't listen to what we have to say. There's a reason that we're doing this, and like this is my background and not golden chairs. There's a reason that I am here. Anyway, we move. Thank you guys very much for watching.
Yep.
Obviously, myself and Shane, we do our own stuff, like run our own YouTube channels, run our own Twitch pages and stuff. I will chuck links to all of those things down in the description below. But if you guys have made it all the way to the end of this, you're a real one. Good,
Yeah.
good bloody effort. Well done. Yeah, thank you guys
Pat
so
on
much
the
for
back for
watching.
you.
Yeah, well done. Well done. Well done. Well done. If you guys have anything to like talk about, bearing in mind what, like, anything we've spoken about across the length of this, there could be like a couple of essays maybe in the comments. But get us. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. And even if you're just interested in being one of the people we have on and talking to us, because I think that's one of the brilliant things about football and stuff, is it unites people, and I'm sure we'd both love to make new friends through like football
Yes.
and talk to new people. So if you're interested about potentially being on the show and coming and talking football with us for a couple of hours, then let us know. We'd be more than happy to have you. But
Yeah, of course.
thank you guys very much for watching,
Yep.
and we'll see you in the next one.
Laters.